uh, with Miss Alka. She comes with a very diverse professional, as well as experience in with and the professional background, as well as experience in the field of climate change, environmental education and communication, biodiversity, and she has worked over more than 2 decades in the space of natural resources, water, sanitation, wash. She in her role as the head of the Center for Environment Education at the Center for Youth as the chairperson. She was constantly demonstrated an unwavering dedication to sustainability and impactful initiatives. And she has been also a climate reality leader since the 2015 cohort. Um, she has been involved in with various stakeholders nationwide, including the youth, educators, educational institutions, government, ministries, panchayats, and civil societies. Her efforts in climate change communication encompass sustainable energy solutions, decarbonization initiatives, carbon neutral city projects, low carbon campaigns, and the climate resilience initiatives. She has also, showcased her expertise as a member of the governing board of the Climate Action Network, commonly known as the CANSA in South Asia, and is affiliated with the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, also referred to as IUCN. She has environmental science background in terms of her education in sustainable business strategy from the Harvard Business School online, and the strategic CSR from the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. She has also been Lead India Fellowship Program and an IV LP Fellowship with the US Department of State on the aspects of climate change and clean energy. And today we will be joined by Ms. Alka, who will be taking us through the media and communication strategies and how we can do reporting at climate change conferences like COP. So, without any further ado, I pass it on to you, Ms. Alka. The floor is all yours. We have a lot of youth from diverse backgrounds, mostly focusing on building the knowledge and capacity, for youth to be present at international conferences, climate change conferences like COP and SBs. And I request you to kind of take us and break down how we could efficiently do reporting and make all these jargons, break it down for the youth back who are not able to access these conferences. So yeah, the floor is all yours, and thank you once again for joining in.
Thank you very much, Ajantya, for this introduction and welcome everybody. And as and when I'm not audible, please just raise hand so that I can only put in chat. So here I am. So one correction just I want to do in the profile that you were reading is I had the organization called Center for Environment Communication, and so we look at environment much wider in terms of we need to communicate because of the pressing issues around the world. So let me start. How much time we have approximately, Ajantya, here?
We have about an hour, I guess. Yeah.
Uh, so we'll break this into two sections. And so one section is, in fact, in three sections altogether. One section, we will do a Mentimeter exercise. And second, I'll talk about what Ajantya is talking, that you have been attending a lot of sessions, and now is the time to translate that into action, to reinforce and assert your commitment to climate change. So that's the second part I'm going to focus on. And third part is more question and answer, if there is any in terms of leading this discourse and understanding what is that you are planning to do. So let me start with the Mentimeter, and I'll come back to the presentation. And in the meanwhile, if participants in your chat, you can mention the state or location from where you are coming. You mention your location and the state. So let me also understand from where you are and what you have been. This much information is good enough to start with. Yeah, just keep on adding that. And let me just shift the screen here now again. So nothing is coming on the screen right now, Ajantya, no?
No, we have the yeah, I mean,
Presentation.
the presentation.
Yeah.
Now
So
it's
let me, yeah. Okay, you all can see the QR code for Mentimeter. Is it visible to the participants here?
no, not yet, I guess.
One sec. Okay. You need to, yes, okay. Just one sec. I'm just sharing a QR code. If not the case, then I'll share it there. But anyway, I need to do this one sec. So when it is in my screen, it's showing. Agentia is not yet showing.
No, no. Can you just reshare your screen, maybe, I guess?
I'll do that here. So it's only the okay. No, it looks like that particular window it's not showing where I have the Mentimeter. Yes, one second. Let me try it again here.
I guess you need to also select the window that you want to present. So maybe,
I did that, yeah, I did that. And so I went to Mentimeter and then
or maybe you can share it with me. I can maybe.
I can do that one second. Let me just share that. But then I need to show things on the screen. So just one second. Yeah, Aditya, I've shared this with you here. See, because in
Just
window it is it's only showing in my window two screen, not the Mentimeter screen.
I guess this is the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the screen, but I have to run it. Can you run it from your end? One sec.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, glad. Okay. So, join the Mentimeter We're using this scan the QR code, and let's get going with this now. So, there are six questions. You need to just understand and quickly respond because this is very limited in terms of participants. So, you need to reply ASAP in terms of your response. Yeah, okay, great. And now, yes, Sri Lanka. Yeah, great. So, Ajintya, is it not coming, right?
No, it says it's just loading, but there is no second slide in it. I don't know.
Exactly. No, there is a second slide when I will it just, okay, my Mentimeter. So, it looks like maybe it's not going to work. So, because when I'm going to window and showing entire screen on window, it's not showing Mentimeter as such. Mentimeter is not shown here, only the PPT slide and this. The PPT is only one. There's no Word document that can be shown here.
Yeah, it can be. You can just do the entire screen
Yeah,
sharing.
I go to entire screen and then share, but entire screen is also, yeah, there is because my file is anyway open. So, okay. Mm, okay, what I'll do is, yeah, it would have been fun to do that Mentimeter exercise. Just let me try it once again. Otherwise, we'll go to the presentation directly. But in the meanwhile, can just check if it can work here.
Sorry, what?
I'm just trying to see if the Mentimeter is going to work.
I mean, I just still see the QR code only on the screen.
I can go to next slide once you project it out. You
Okay.
project the QR code and I'll shift the next slide then.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Can.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay. So I hope everybody has scanned the QR code. Otherwise, go to mentimeter.com and use the code 845184158690. So we are moving to the exercise, and you see on your screen, and yeah, you see on the screen, on the scale of 1 to 10, you rate your knowledge because you already participated in series of events, yeah, sessions. So your knowledge on climate change. It's one. Okay, you can keep on typing your great. Okay, perfect. Yeah, yes. Yeah, so we are looking at uh, somewhere between 5 to 10. The range is happening. You're saying it's about 10, 7, 8. So this is the range. Great. I think I'm looking forward to more numbers here. I hope you're all able to scan the QR code and move forward to this. That same QR code will work. Actually, I can put this in chat also, no? The same QR code that you had, I have given.
Uh, yes,
I'll do that. I'll do that. No problem. So this is the QR code that you can use in case you're not able to do that. Perfect. I think I'll go to the next slide. So what we're trying to understand here is what is your understanding of climate change knowledge, because this is where you have been participating in the sessions and taking it forward. So great. Shall I just move to the next one? I think, yeah. Okay, great. There are 48 participants, so we need to, okay, I'll move to the next question now. What I'm looking at now is once we understand your knowledge, the next question is, according to you, what is the most urgent climate change issue that you feel should be tackled at COP29? So it's not about what is outlined there, what is the expected outcome, but what, as per your knowledge, should be the issue that should be tackled. So jot down your response here. Yeah. Yeah, so loss and damage fund we have been talking about. Climate finance is another issue. Yes, loss and damage. Yeah, we are talking about negotiations to look at international cooperation. So finance is yes, and the fossil fuels, justice, plastic. Okay, yeah. Let's just get more here, trying to understand what is that we're talking about. So when you're saying climate finance to developing countries and LDCs, phasing out fossil fuel, yeah. So in these lines we're talking about, yes. Yeah, perfect. Great. Let us all, yeah, 12 responses. We are looking for more now. And you need to type out fast because I'm going to move this slide in no time now. Yes, perfect. So we're talking about water management here. Okay, great here. Okay, I'll move to the next slide here, which is now more about this is what we wanted. And here in COP, what is the anticipated outcome set? Now we're talking about COP29, you know, what is the agenda, what is the focus? So what is the anticipated outcomes from COP29 that you are aware of in terms of your sessions, knowledge and all that? It's not about what you want, what we're talking about is from COP, what are the expectations this year? Yes, yeah, okay. So when we say climate finance, we need to be very, very specific in terms of what exactly in climate finance we're talking about. Like it is fossil fuel phase down. Okay. Yes. Yeah. On a similar line, here you need to be very, very specific on the outcomes as you expect COP29 to be specific in their intended outcomes. You need to be there. ESG is a far, okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. On the similar lines, great. Okay, any more responses? I'll move to the next one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. So what are we talking about is majorly climate finance funds. Then we are more or less talking about main thing is this is what is emerging altogether. In specifically in climate finance, we will talk about and later. Okay, great. Yeah, responses are coming, so I am yeah. Time typing takes time, so I'm waiting here. Okay, I'll move to the next slide here. Okay, good. So, more youth inclusion is another point I'm looking at. Zero carbon policy, working on NDC is a new point that wasn't there earlier in this slide. Nature-based solutions, yes, I think you have the right lingo in terms of what is to be communicated and what is to be expected here. Impact of war on climate, that's interesting. And yeah, yes, great. Okay, so I'll wait for another 10 seconds and move to the next one. Yeah. Okay, great. So very good response. Let's move to the next one here. Okay, so now you have been part of this journey with the partners. Now let's look at what is your goal for COPE. We ask, yeah. So you need to choose two, and let's say you want to raise awareness, increase public understanding on the climate change, or you want to influence policies to engage decision making and advocate for youth inclusive climate policies that you mentioned in the last slide, or you're talking about building a community where you can engage with more youth. So it's youth to youth, B2B we are talking about. So yeah, let's look at where and how it is working. Uh-huh. So majorly, policy influence is what I can see more or less. Great. Yeah. So today, what we'll talk about is on the all the three things. But as I can see, what you because this is what is going to impact. So you need a youth inclusive policy, and that's what you want to work towards. Perfect. Let's yeah. Okay, I will done on to this slide. Let's move to the next one here. And remember these goals because this is your goals. And let's talk about these goals in the presentation then. Okay. Now the question is what kind of media communication tools you use, the traditional ones, social media, or we are talking about the regular ones in terms of television, in terms of radio, in terms of social media, podcast, or in print, traditional media. What is that? Yeah, LinkedIn is okay. This is more interpersonal communication. Yeah, word of mouth is more interpersonal communication. Yeah, let's look at podcasts. Okay, yeah, we're talking about blog, we're talking about this is all social media. I think we also need to look at there are n number of media and communication channels and tools which are beyond social media. So you have theater, you have street plays, you have all sorts of storytelling formats. And yeah, okay, yeah, education system, the formal one. Yes, yes, yeah, newspaper for that matter. So in generally, what I'm sensing it's majorly social media is what we're talking about. And somebody when mentioned word of mouth, interpersonal communication is another one. Yeah, is something climate website. Okay, great. Let's just yeah think more in terms of what is that any media that you have used. So the majorly is the social media that you have been relying on to communicate about any issues or about your personal stories or about your life. So it's not nothing to do with climate change. I'm just generally asking what is the media that you have been using. Yeah. Great. This is what we're talking about. Perfect. Okay, I'll go to the next one now. Yeah. Yes. Okay. On the scale of 1 to 10, you need to look at if we have to use social climate act for a climate action, what is it, how you have been using it, how often you have been using it. Have you ever communicated about climate action, climate change through your social media platforms? Ever? So, yeah, and let's just be honest with it, because it's not about doing post but actually strategizing and communicating and using social media. Okay, so majorly you're saying is again a curve which is from 5, we are going towards it. So it's like you're running a campaign, you're running a proper initiative, you're launching a program. And that's what I'm talking about when I said, okay, so this is where we are in terms of scale. Okay, great. Any more responses here? Yeah. Yes, I think this is what we are going to explore in the presentation, that how we are sitting in different corners. I asked you to type, from where you are. So how do we get everybody? And social media is one connect where we all can, we understand and as well as we can talk about. So great, thank you. I think this is a great exercise. So I'll thank you, Ajantia, for kind of managing this for me. And I'll just use the screen now for my presentation. Okay. So here, one second, let me just, before that, in fact, let me see from which region you are. So I'm looking at, yeah, code, please, I gave that link, okay. Please increase the volume. So is that, it's not properly audible? Let me see once more, okay. Okay, good, great, okay, fine, great, okay. Yeah. I'll try to shout and see if that can reach to you. And yeah, but I think rest of my systems are working fine here. So yeah, let me start with what we are trying to understand, and let me know if my screen is visible here and when I'm sharing the presentation. Achantia, can you just tell me my screen is visible here through my WhatsApp message? Yeah. Yeah. Let me know. The screen is visible. Can you just thumbs up here? Because when I'm putting it in the full screen mode, I can't see this out. One sec. Is the screen visible to everybody? Can you just put it in chat? Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here, what we are trying to do and trying to understand is when COP is in November. It's around the corner. And when we're talking about Baku, what is that? It's this particular COP is positioned at a very crucial moment of the international negotiation, because we are advancing our negotiation, and even this COP is dubbed as the finance COP. This is what is being called because this is the significant focus, and a new finance goal is what we're talking about when we have new collective quantified goal, NCQG, which you might have heard and been talking about, and where it will change the regime from $100 billion dollars commitment to a new commitment. And here, so Youth for COP, and we as Center for Youth, also one of the partner, CANSA, Climate Reality, IYCN, and host of other organizations. We are all coming together and trying to see how to engage youth effectively for the three goals that I mentioned in my presentation, in the Mentimeter, that for awareness, for influencing policy, and for connecting with the community, your community. And okay, so next slide. I've moved to next slide where we are talking about key themes. Achintya, because I can't, because I'm sharing the presentation, so I can't see the reactions. In case there are PPT is not visible, please message me on WhatsApp. So COP29, I will kind of consolidate this because you all have been talking about it. It's there, but just to reinforce once again, these are the key themes of the 29th UNFCCC COP, and where we are advancing the global cooperation on climate action. So as I said, there's a new climate finance commitments that are anticipated as part of the discussions, where we are talking about more than $5.8 trillion to effectively implement the climate actions of the developing countries. And then there is an opportunity of stronger national commitment. Then NDCs we're talking about, which are going to be submitted in 2025. So revising, aligning with the global targets, and is what is another important thing that need to be looked into, and is the outcome that is going to come. Then we are looking about the enhancement of loss and damage mechanism, and financial commitment to it, between maybe, because right now with the irreversible loss and damage that is happening across in the global south, is what this anticipated finance and the mechanism around it is a discussion. We are talking about there's a new sectoral focus on agriculture, on food, on land rights, and on green jobs. That is another important thing. And the commitment to a just transition, where we are shifting from the fossil fuels. And then we're talking about the accountability and transparency, where we are saying nobody is to be left behind, and we need to have very inclusive approach of and reporting frameworks. Transparency has to be followed. So this is what it's there. I'm not going in detail because we already have had sessions on this. I move to the next slide, and what I'm talking about is what are the goals of this particular session that I'm now doing today. So what are we doing? We're looking at the tools and strategy for you or for youth to amplify their climate change narratives at COP. How you can do that, why it is required, all that, why it matters. In fact, that's a very, very important one. Why at all? Because end of the day, we need to reach. It's a global, negotiations. It's a global COP, so we need to have a reach, global reach. We need to have inclusive reach. We need to ensure diversity to be there, and most important part is global youth perspectives to be heard. And it's not like that the elitist of the youth only are part of the debate, and the youth who are at the brink of the issue are not in the debate. So that's another important thing. So amplifying those voices is important thing, so that the discussions, outcome, actions, because that need to be unpacked from the youth perspective, and that's where it's very important that how do we create those narratives. Then it has been always a challenge. I've been in this sector from last 2 decades. Mainstreaming environment, climate change, and all these issues, mainstreaming is always a big challenge. It's all the handful of group around who have been talking about it. So how do we increase the public engagement using and talking about the outcome and climate issues? And then transparency, if we track the progress, we look at the setbacks of the negotiation, communicate that, there is a dialogue and discourse that can be do that. And then by tracking countries' commitment and implementation goal, we also promoting accountability. And the end of the day, what are we talking about? Call to action. Are we mobilizing communities enough, activists, youth, and bringing them back? So it's from 1 to 6, it is in a loop that we are looking at in terms of why this particular session or the program for that matter, Youth for COP, is designed. The next important aspect is then what are the avenues we are talking about for communicating COP. And if I am rushing the slides, I can come back on the slide later when we are having the question answer. So avenues for communicating COP is primarily we are looking at, because here we are sitting in different corners. Some of you would be going to COP, but and some of you will not be going to COP. But nevertheless, there are enough avenues for everybody to go around and communicating about the COPs. So social media reporting, because it will give us real-time updates. What are the key takeaways, live content? I'm going to share the roadmap also in further slides. So yes, Instagram stories, reel threads, Twitter, YouTubes are the common ones, but blogs, articles, daily event summarizing, important speeches, agreement for deeper analysis. So we need to go beyond that and put ourselves into this now, because we are now informed audience. Then using YouTube channels to talk about the video summarizing, daily vlogs are there, or host, participate in online session discussions, conferences that are linked to COP, and as well as participate in the UNFCCC virtual platforms also. There are ways and means of it, where you can be part of it in the virtual sessions. So this is where we can use the leverage, we can take the leverage and communicate about what is that we want to talk about. But there has to be a clear strategy, and let's just get to that also. So this is the groundwork we need to prepare. Now, if you can work in groups and you can be assigned with the partners, and you can work on similar issues, if they are focusing on loss and damage or the finance issue or on NDC, then accordingly you can take the pointers from here and apply it in your work profile. Or if you're a group which is not part of any partner, attached to any partner, then you can plan this all, and for a 10 days from 11 to 22nd, when the COP will be happening, you can be a reporter, online reporters on COP. So one is, we need to understand COP, and it's a complicated process. There are sessions of negotiation, there are observer, there are side events, there are media engagement, and there are pavilions. So we need to go to COP website and figure it out in terms of what is happening. What are the, and there are a lot of pre COP events that are happening. There are a lot of reports and videos and sessions, information, press release already there on the COP website. So we need to look at that. So that is one research that is required. Second is, there are, as I said, pre-event content need to be developed. So introductory event talk, because let's identify who is our audience. So we need to remember our goals. Our goals are again three. I'm referring to the mentor meter exercise, where we're saying creating awareness, increasing awareness, influencing policy, and connecting with our community. So from that context, create introductory content and explaining them what is this for, what is the significance of it, and what is that they should expect. And when you expect, then only you can demand. Then a content plan. So 10 days, 15 days, today this will happen. So for this, I need to develop XYZ content. Tomorrow we will post this. So this is what is going to happen. Every day in Dubai and in previous COP, Kansa used to record and do the audio recording of the daily updates, and used to send people in the group. There was a larger group, and people who were not going in COPs could hear those audios and can understand, okay, this is what is happening. That became a very reliable medium of first-hand information. Second is, because a lot of journalists and TV news reporters and bloggers and all are going to report live. So that's another source of information that can be there. Obviously, the COP website will be there. And then tracking the social media in terms of what is in all reporting, following some hashtags is very important. Messaging, prepare the consistent messages. I think I always emphasize, and this, some more slides are there, where I'm talking about the authenticity of your content is very, very important. So experts who have been part of this discussion with you, you need to create an expert group where you can keep on, bouncing back your messages and narratives we want to address. So what are the key messages we want to communicate? And one is definitely what is happening on a daily reporting, what is the negotiation failing, not failing, where it is progressing, and what are the key discourses that are happening in maybe sectoral, maybe issue-wise, whatever we need to look at. Important is creating set of communications, so visual narratives, memes, We can talk about illustrations, video, reels, all that. So, but the content has to be digestible because it's very complex altogether. And infographics are another one. We're talking about videos where we can talk about challenges, action needed. So let's say we decide we will do one reel every day. We'll do two infographics. We will have, one article, one blog. So we all will work towards it. And then if we want to, and somebody would like to take initiative, somebody said podcasts have been used. So virtual conversation with people who have been there or who are not there. And storytelling, we need to look at how do we, when the story becomes very personal, localized, then there are a lot of interest. So personal stories where the climate, with the global south, with, all other countries which have been at the brink of climate change crisis, bring those stories, bring those youth stories in your communication. And then we are talking about collaborating with influencers, activists, and state and non-state actors, and interact with them, take their bites, and use it. So this is the groundwork. It needs to be decided how, flow, and plan, and I'll go back to the previous slide, and the avenues then can be utilized. And I'm moving to the next slide where we're talking about the how do we communicate in real time? Obviously, live tweeting, live streaming. So once we are done with our groundwork, we come to the live tweeting and live streaming, and real time updates definitely has to be there because it's a daily update. We can do two real time updates. We can twice. We can decide on the timing, and we can look into that. We can, specifically track the global hashtags and create our own hashtags also. And campaigns can be designed apart from reporting what is happening. And the story, Instagram stories, you can post in story section and all that. And yes, live shows can happen. That would be really, really fine. And so daily wrap ups are very, very important if you want to engage your audience. And interviews and key speeches highlights also can be there. What are the key quotes? And from the influential figures. Maybe people can look at few journalists and track them and analyze what they're reporting. That's also can be another thing to engage with. Somebody mentioned Hindu, or maybe we can look at international media also and analyze it and present it. This is what is there. So those kind of things. So we are talking about a A-roll mechanism and a B-roll mechanism, which I'm going to also talk about here. So this is where we need to create this engaging narratives for the COP reporting. Now the important part is then what are the tools? Most I've already been speaking about, but for content creation, we all, I think most of you or not all, but must be using Canva. That is something very easy to create your material. iMovie, Adobe Spark, and there are a number of softwares and apps available now. And live streaming or streaming platforms are there. And there's some more that happen there in your part of the country or your part of the globe you can look at. And then the collaborating platforms, larger organization, change.org, Yango, Climate Reality, Kansa, IYCN, C4Y, Global Citizen. These are all organizations, you can use those platforms. And then if we need to mainstream COP actions and outcome, maybe interactive polls, quizzes, ask for opinions, call for actions, maybe every time create some action points for your audience to come back to your communication and the narratives that you're trying to do. So what we're trying to do is, but the point is, this is more or less people are doing is COP because COPs are very highly covered and reported event in world. But what you are doing is you are filtering it out and channeling the entire communication and narratives from the youth perspective and presenting and deconstructing it. That's what we need to remind ourselves that what we're trying to do. And these are some of the media tools. I thought let me also talk about that when we're saying media tool, we're saying create this and that, what exactly they are. So news articles, you can write on social media which basically we follow very inverted pyramid format, where the key information comes most important, then second level, third level, like that, where you talk about the facts, quotes from speakers, what are the decisions made, what are the implications of this. So it has to be very objective and factual in news articles. We need to look at, if you were bit decided every day out of the daily summarizing, this is what we also want to do. Then, or maybe you can create a newspaper out of it, keeping this article. Then the feature stories are another aspect where you need to be more, have to have human interest angle to it. It has to be more personal, and that's the reason I said the earlier slides that create interviews with opinion leaders, with youth, with state and non-state actors. It has to be very engaging and emotive features. Blog post, we all know, most of us, we will also have it. Very informal, very conversational one. You need to have more personal reflections, opinions, summary of the actions, and very accessible and relatable is what is very, very important. Social media posts are shorter ones. We need to make these statements and use it, create numbers and quotes, images, call for action, very concise and engaging. So this is few set of them. Videos, video is more storytelling, sometimes with interviews, sometimes with photos. So use a lot of B-roll and A-roll, though obviously is the primary footage and B-roll is a secondary footage to help create those videos. And clips you can take from the conference, youth hear reactions and add on to it, create those videos. Podcast is, I don't think so I need to explain more about it. Infographics also, we know we need to talk about statistics there. We can decide if you want to that every day we're going to have one topic and we're going to have a live discussion about it, a webinar that we're going to host. And then you can plan 11, 12 webinars around it, or maybe some precursors also. Then maybe some reports you want to kind of work towards, sectoralize, as said, on food, agriculture impact, water impact, so, and on loss and damage. So this is another kind of thing. You need to be very authenticated data. Newsletter is another thing that can be looked into, and where a series of articles which I mentioned earlier can be used, and you can talk about the upcoming, and it can be an online newsletter. Everything need to be online. Let's not get into printing stuff if you want to reach to the audience. So yeah. So having said that, I'll just go back to this. We're talking about news article, feature story, blog post. We're talking about video report, postcard, infographic, webinars, research reports, newsletters. But the most important part that we all need to remember is that it has to be very ethical and accurate. We cannot, kind of, we need to have fact checking is very, very important. As I said, you can go back and bounce back these facts to the expert, or there are a lot of apps where you can check the information, images, videos. It should not be you're talking about Asia and then you have Africa, photo videos to using. And we need to really, really, and it has to be contemporary. You're talking about COP29, but you're showing, previous COPs footage and referring it as a COP29. So those kind of things we need to look at, and it's not should be very, it need to be really positive communication. We are not here to create, negative communication around things. And that's the reason balanced reporting is very, very important. If you talk about the success of COP, let's talk about the challenges, roadblocks, issues that are there. And there are plenty of coverage that is available, but how do you deconstruct that coverage is important. Then inclusion is also very, very important, because the entire premises is that we need to have just transition. So when we talk about just transition, it means we need to have amplifying voices from underrepresented region and communities. So that is also we need to look at. And another important, as I said, that accurate reporting is important, but how do we combat climate denialism that is around? So that also we need to look at. And because climate change, climate finance is something, it doesn't gel with public. It's not about traffic. It's not about we're talking about water issues. So it's a very different issue altogether, which is very much linked, but is not a daily routine issue. So how do you connect with them? And then when we have too much of communication happening, then every time you're tagging, let's say 10 type of people every day, 10 times, it's a lot of fatigue is there. So we need to look at different media communication tools to engage with, because something will gel very well with media video, something will gel very well with blog. So we need to decide today, from this is my campaign, these are my key messages going to be there, this will be addressed through article, this will be through blog, this will be through video, this will be through webinar. So this is the kind of thing we need to look at. So we need to have really good storytelling content, very objective ones. And that's what I said. We need to really ensure that youth voices are heard. And we are talking about youth engaged in the process. So we need to ensure that our communication is also about youth, and a clear language where a broader audience is understanding. If I'm going to talk about NCQG, in my communication, I don't know how many of people will understand. They have to Google it up. So those kind of thing, NDCs, you will be surprised that a lot of people will not know what COP is. So we need to always deconstruct our messages, and that's very, very important in our communication. And especially when you're talking about your community, engaging with your community and increasing your community. So, yeah, so we have done a lot of it, but yes, tracking, monitoring, evaluating what we are doing. Is it making sense? Obviously, the likes, subscriptions, following are very, very important, but comments. And we have seen in the campaigns, in fact, we have recently completed one campaign, Pan India, with all the 60,000 plus colleges and 1,200 plus universities in the country in India. So when we have created a hashtag and we asking people to post, so we ensure that we tracked those posts and then shared, liked, engaged with those posts also. So it's not like we commented on each and every post. So that's where another part. So this is how you engage with your audience, and with the Twitter, you look at what are the trending topics, if you can comment on it and bring your youth angle to it. And then because end of the day, media also influence and create public engagement. So low feedback is very important. So you have two set of people, youth who is going to be there in COP, and youth, three set of in fact, and youth who are going to be maybe aligned with partners, and the third set of youth who are not very sure, Jantia, you and the other group can check, where you will be focusing on media reporting through virtual. So end of the day, what is the call for action? So shaping youth narratives will happen when we have a very concentrated, very planned approach, and so that we can, kind of share, connect, and engage globally with youth, and with youth network organizations also, and be part of this global conversation. So everything is not about going and participating in COP. It's also about how you're understanding it from virtually participating in it. So yeah, so thank you very much. This is what I wanted to present, and I can go back to any slide which you think I need to explain a bit more. But these are my information. So I'm representing this organizations, and I'm part of very, glad to be part of this initiative. And we look forward to have it grown and scale up and go global with this initiative. And we have been ourselves working with youth substantially in India itself, but we have been also working. So yeah, this is here. I'm ending the presentation, Cynthia. So
Yeah. Thank you so much once again. But I'll just maybe pause and look for any questions that any of our attendees might have. I mean, if any of the attendees or participants, if you have any questions, um, please feel free to write into in the chat box. Um,
they're not allowed to speak and engage, no?
I guess, wait, just give me 1 second. Hmm. I yeah, Kanmani, I guess I've given you the access. Uh,
Yeah. Yes, yes, we can hear you. Yeah, Kanman, we can hear you.
It was a very informative session, and thank you so
uh,
much.
Kanmani, can you please speak a bit louder? I guess it's just
Not audible. Or you
yeah.
can just type in chat otherwise if you're. Yeah. I think by the time questions are coming, I just want to say that a lot of avenues are there because of social media and because of information that is flowing. But how do we filter it out? How do we make it useful and relevant for us is the key. And that's the action that we all are looking forward to. More you engage, more you communicate, more you share is the key for entire, running this creative narrative of youth engagement for COP to be more successful.
I guess there is no further questions.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, Thank you so much, ma'am. We had a wonderful session with you. A lot on how to report all the different forms of communications. I know a lot of the youth feel that Instagram and social media is the only form of communication, which is not. We still have, the previous generations, not the Gen Z, but the previous generations have that access, and they also enjoyed the theater, plays, drama. There's a lot of other forms of communications, and I guess it happens till date. It's just that social media has taken the limelight nowadays because of the easier access, and to reach a huge mass. So that is why we feel always Instagram is the only form of communication. But I feel that there's still a lot more that could be done through the other forms of communications, because when it is one-to-one interaction, when you see something happening in a real life, that is done by actual people, it is much more impactful. And I feel a lot could be done through those channels, and then the conventional ones have also been the form of communication back in the days, as it was not that social media was inexistent. So there was no form of communication, it was there and it was working well, up and well. So I believe those could be re-established to some extent, and also again reintroduced to the Gen Z, and we could demystify again the whole climate space, do reporting and stuff, make climate change and all the different kinds of communication strategies much more lucid and easier for people. So it has been an incredible session, and I know eye opener for many, I guess. Thank you
yeah.
so much, ma'am, for your
I also
support.
want to point, sorry, I just want to say something about this. Two, three things are there. One is the most important part is right now to reach far and wide. And reaching far and wide with limited resources can happen with social media. And so that was one power that we cannot kind of we need to look into. Second is the traditional and conventional media formats are are intensive in terms of their cost, resources, and art forms. Though they're very important, and that's the reason if we need to have a multifold approach to the entire reporting of climate change, then maybe engaging with the youth groups who are employing that, using those media formats. I think most important for all of us, especially for youth, is to connect with other youth groups to understand, and especially one who have been facing the challenges, and who, because we're talking about inclusivity, And climate change is not about one flat response and one flat question. It has so many layers of, we're talking about food system, we're talking about agriculture, we're talking about water, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about range of other issues and loss and damages and migration and the and whatnot. So unpacking is a lot of task, but the key messages today is we should not kind of get carried away with that. Most important, if you want to report for COP and communicate with your fellows and influence policy, go to COP website, read what are the daily briefings, engage with key messages, and communicate that, and engage with the media reporting that is already happening, and unpack that. That itself is a great deal of work that will give you a holistic understanding into what is the climate debate and discussion happening across. And then, yeah, that is where and especially tag the right people in your narratives. So, and work in groups. Please make sure that you work in groups, work in teams, not work in silos, because I think social media has taught us a lot on working in silos. But let's, come out of that comfort zone and work in groups. And that's where I think a lot of very clear narratives we can bring together and work on. So these are some of the messages that I want to. I know here, there. Okay, there's a question here. What do you think about communicating through people who has influence on society? Yes. So there are two influencer types we are talking about. One is obviously our YouTube and social media influencers. But if we look how we want to design our reporting and communication is very important. If we want interpersonal communication, if we want we are talking about COP decision to be communicated, but if we want community engagement to also happen, yes, there are n number of examples where you can, look at your influencers in the community itself, a larger influencers, and tag them, engage them, and they further and give them the key pointers and key messages that they can disseminate to the larger society. So that's where you connect with the larger wide and groups by engaging with those influencers. But first of all, you need to identify those influencers, see what is the kind of, because you cannot align yourself with each and every influencer. Their ideology, their ethics, their value systems also need to be looked into. Is it aligned with what we are talking about? And then send them key pointers, interact with them, and so that they can do that. But create those communication tools for them so that it's not that you give them 10-page packet and tell them please read this and this is very important and talk about it. Specific messages you want them to communicate, you do that. So this is where we need to say that are we specific to our communication? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you can sum up. I hope there's a question. So
I
yeah.
guess I did my summing up, and but anyways, thank you so much once again. You have been a huge support for the entire program since the beginning and inception of this idea. And we really loved today's session, and it was very crucial in the lead up to COP, especially because we think that there's a lot of jargons that people are not able to
Absolutely.
kind of easily. So that is why I guess it is very important that we understand what are the means of communications. But yeah, thank you so much once again, ma'am, and we'll wrap this up today. Thank you
Thank
so much for joining in, and all the participants once again. Thank you. Um,
Yes, keep journaling today
yeah,
daily. Yes,
yes,
absolutely. And thank you very much, audience. I didn't hear you much, but I'm looking forward for a lot of very good communication around. And we
yeah.
will love to work with you guys if we have certain things that comes up. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Jantia, for hosting it.
Bye bye.
Yeah, yeah. Bye bye.